Magic mushrooms. I've been hearing about them my whole life, but I had never tried them. I'm starting this channel because despite all the videos on the internet where people discuss mushrooms, I haven't found the conversation that I'm looking for. Sometimes I'm feeling like there's a secret code, similar to like Fight Club. You know what happens in Fight Club stays in Fight Club. Now before I go on, it's important for me to tell you that this is not medical advice, nor even a suggestion of what your experience would be if you partake in any sort of plant medicine. Different people have different experiences. It's also important to make sure that they are legal wherever you're exploring plant medicine. Although plant medicine is being recognized more and more in many countries, it is still technically illegal more often than not. And lastly, who knows if I'm telling you the truth or this is all fiction. Now, I'm somewhat familiar with psychedelics, having done acid or LSD when I was in college, but I had never done magic mushrooms. So flash forward 40 years, in some way or another, via Netflix I think, magic mushrooms became psilocybin, and it started to be talked about in the super mainstream in the form of documentaries on Netflix and many TED Talks, Joe Rogan Experience. And because I had access to them on many occasions, I decided to try them out in my 60th year. The first time I did them was recreationally, and I had no idea what I was doing, so I had a huge dose. I went to a small get-together and a friend had brought a bag and told me to just go ahead and grab them. At this point they were in a powder form, so I took a bunch of big scoops and I went in the roof of my friend's house and I just stared into the sky. It was Christmas time and the neighborhood was lit up in lights. Well, I learned the power of these magnificent fungi right away, because what I began to see was an alternate version of what I had just seen an hour before. Houses with Christmas lights became boats, and the streets, they became rivers. My friends became characters from a Tim Burton movie. The sky became a magical universe where stars were dancing back and forth. Somehow my friend's 3-story house with a rooftop terrace had become a castle, and there could have been an infinite number of stairs going back down to the bedroom where I was staying. After having a magnificent show that appealed to all of my senses, I went to bed, but I didn't sleep. My brain seemed to be ripe for new messages coming from somewhere that I don't normally have access to. And we didn't have any music on this occasion. I say that because music will be absolutely mandatory for me from now on. I should also add that we had alcohol, which I've learned is a no-no, both health-wise, and it's also really reduces the power of the experience. We'll get more into some of the rules when we talk about indigenous ceremonies and psilocybin retreats. Now, my personal feeling is that you should only use mushrooms in a serious manner because of the profound impact they can have on your life. So, it's 60 years of life, and I'm just coming out of a major event where the world is heavily divided. I suffered many losses due to the response of human beings during this period. I really lost faith in human beings. There really hasn't been much to help me regain faith. I had been a New Ager for a long time, but at this point none of my spiritual gurus were saying anything that helped make sense. I was a regular visitor to Marianne Williamson's sessions in Los Angeles. On the Course in Miracles, I attended services at Agape with Reverend Michael Beckwith. Now, he was popularized by the book The Secret. I have watched just about everything online you can imagine, including Abraham Hicks, Wayne Dyer, and all the rest. They no longer helped. It turned out that they were mere mortals. However, I remember feeling that I saw something amazing in the mushrooms, and that they changed my perception to such a level that when the medicine wore off, I wasn't sure if I had been in reality and returned to an illusion, or vice versa. It took me a bit of time to trust that anything was real. 3 months later, my friends told me that there was a sacred ceremony happening not too far, and asked me if I'd like to go. Of course I said yes, and the rest is history. Since then, I have attended approximately 12 formal sacred ceremonies, and I have regular personal ceremonies. With each, dependent on what is going on in life, the mushrooms offer an entirely new and unexpected experience. I decided to name this channel Old Man Mushroom because 60 is not the typical age where people start investigating plant medicine. In fact, a lot of people are fearful for other health reasons. I'm hoping that by sharing my experience with other people who suffer all the anxieties and fears of growing older in strange times, so that maybe they might consider investigating plant medicine as well. Also, there are some people who see plant medicine as almost dealing with the occult and demons. In my opinion, it seems that mushrooms and other plant medicines actually work well in conjunction with religion and spirituality. I know for me it has given me a clearer understanding of my Christian faith, and I'm still seeking. In the upcoming videos that I'll be making, I'm going to be discussing various ways in which the mushrooms have helped me, just to see if anything resonates with you. They have helped me deal with loss and worry about aging and mortality, as well as dealing with specific death situations like losing my brother recently. I'll be talking about the ceremonies, the music, which is very important, and I'll discuss why I think that's true, how a bad trip can lead to a really good integration, and how it's really important to have an intention when you go into the ceremony. And you literally tell the mushrooms what your intention is. We will even get into the topic of the possibility of life being a simulation, and who are the non-player and player characters in the simulation, if that's even a real thing. What you see and what you are told, I guess telepathically by the mushrooms, has made me experience more joy in life in a natural way when I'm not actually on the mushrooms. I used to say that it's rewiring my brain, and that might be true to some extent, but I think what it's actually doing is opening up other options to what I have limited myself to believing in the past. So far in my journey, it also seems that each time I do a large dose journey, I get a small download of information as I'm coming out of what I would call the trance part of the trip. The first time I got the message that my parents, who had been together 62 years when my mom passed first, and my dad passed 2 years later, well, the message was that they did not have a soul contract. Now keep in mind this is about 2 years ago from the time I am recording this, and I still have no idea why I received that information. I've learned a little bit about soul contracts since, but it doesn't make any sense to me why that would be relevant. For me, they were in love in this reality, and I think that's all that really matters. But with each trip or journey, as some say, I learn more and more. Maybe someday that one will make sense. I follow quite a few people that are scientists, such as physicists and neuroscientists, as well as spiritual seekers, and I try and apply my use of the mushrooms to some of their theories, such as quantum physics, string theory, parallel universes, reincarnation, how the world may be a hologram, and things like that. At the end of the day, though, once I reintegrate after using plant medicine, at this point I've reached the conclusion that we come from darkness, a very loving darkness, and everything else is the product of the light. Depending on what your needs are, the mushrooms will show you what you need to see that's in between those two polarities. I look forward to seeing you the next time when we talk about the sacred ceremonies. For now, I wish you a safe journey.